Hi YouTube. Okay, this is regarding pet discrimination again, and this part in particular I'm going to be focusing on some facts and taxes. Taxes that are paying for animal control shelters because there just aren't enough homes because landlords are constantly discriminating against animals, and that's why people either turn their animals into shelters or they don't adopt in the first place at shelters. And I am reading off the site www.learningtogive.org/resources/animal-shelters. So this is where this is coming from because I'm just going to glance through some of it as friends have informed me I need some kind of facts of numbers and amounts of dollars that your taxes are paying for, because landlords and management companies are discriminating against allowing animals and saying what the sizes are and the huge fees that they're charging. And they charge pet rent and all of these fees to make it impossible for people to actually be able to afford to have animals. In addition to, they don't offer them any type of good flooring for having animals. Pretty much they throw cheap carpeting in every place and then try to get people to pay for any damage, even if there's no damage, on and on about discriminatory things. But anyway, let's get to some facts. So, animal shelters can be categorized as follows: municipal animal control agencies run by city or county governments. And then there's other types. Again, I am glancing through this. Municipal animal control agencies are typically open access. That means that they take in any animal that is brought into their door by the public or seized by animal control agents on patrol. Municipal agencies, because of their open access status, will at times find it necessary to euthanize animals in their care to make room for incoming animals. This is not something that is done lightly nor without regret by those working within these agencies. It is, however, the current state of animal control in this country. Between 3 and 4 million cats and dogs are euthanized in shelters in the United States annually. It says this number reduced dramatically over the last few decades due to hardworking people in the animal sheltering community. Have what they've done to improve adoption procedures. And it talks about that for a little bit, but I just read on another site that, of course, due to the economic crash, the challenge that we had 2007, 2008, that pretty much, I don't know if it contradicted this or it basically said a lot of animals lost their homes and wound up in the shelters again because the people lost their homes. Okay, so let me get back to, so where it's talking about 3 and 4 million cats and dogs are euthanized in shelters annually. If you were to try to picture costs, let's just say, and I'm not even looking at costs, but let's just say it cost $1. And of course, it costs way more than that, but let's say it cost $1 to euthanize one animal. That's $3 and $4 million every year just to euthanize one animal. And that's just a number that I'm just putting out there. I just made it up. But think for yourself. How much does it cost to have these buildings, pay for utilities, pay for all the professional staff, the administrators who are not cheap, veterinarians who are not cheap? That's all your professional staff, all your accountants and everyone handling all of these shelters and lawyers involved, all the professional staff and the kind of fees that they're accustomed to getting paid, all coming out of your tax dollars. And what else have we got? And then you've got the regular employees and their staff. What is that? Maybe, $8 to $10 an hour. Wait a second. Then the vet techs working at animal shelters. When I worked at them, I think they were getting paid somewhere around $13 to $15 per hour. And those were all the people doing spays and neuters in the animal control facilities, trying to reduce the number of animals that they'd have to deal with every day. So you've got all of these professional staff, regular maintenance, kennel cleaners, all of the general staff. You've got the buildings that they're paying for. You've got the maintenance of the buildings. You've got the utilities of the buildings. You've got all of the equipment, all of the professional equipment needed for veterinarians, for office staff, for handling all of the office workers, for the phones, everything you can think of, all of the computers involved, paperwork, supplies, equipment, everything that you can think of to run a huge profitable business. They have to run these businesses in every single city, in every single state. And when you think about that, and I was just guesstimating $1 per animal just to euthanize, that doesn't even include all the euthanasia costs and supplies and all of the other medicines just to do the spays and neuters. So if anyone else on YouTube can help me add up those costs, if you have any animal control people, I would love to have more information so that we can help educate our public, that's all of us out there, on why landlords and management companies need to stop these discriminatory practices, and we need to have them stopped. They totally allow people that smoke into their apartments or to smoke on the patios. Either way, they're causing huge amounts of damage to the apartments, and they're not charging them. They're not charging them smokers' rent. They're not charging them extra amounts after they've done damage to all the walls, and they've got to rewash the walls and recoat them 3 times, and they've got to rip out the total amount of carpeting and padding because the smoke gets all into the carpet. They're not charged anything like that. College students are known to do horrible damage. They're not charged anything like college rent, extra college rent. Keep in mind, people that come in with their animals, they're actually charged. People that I've talked to in houses are shocked to discover this. But yes, anyone wanting to rent with a pet, they can be charged pet rent. That could be somewhere around $20 to $50 per pet per month, just extra rent. And you wonder why your taxes are so high paying for all of these fees for all of the animal control shelters every year. People can't afford to adopt animals. And keep in mind, you would have people that are just more peaceful people living in this world if they could be living with animal families and not be so stressed, wondering, are they going to have to sneak their families in? So I'm going to see if I can find more on this site. And if I get shut off, it's my video that I think might go out here. But if I get shut off, that may happen. And I think there were more facts here that were interesting. Euthanasia methods, this covers a lot. Pet population, the question of how many animals were in a shelter did not become an issue well till such and such date. I know that there were a lot more important facts, and forgive me, I'm just glancing through here because I'm trying to quickly be able to educate people. But in any case, if you want to research this yourself, this particular website is learningtogive.org resources/animal-shelters. So what I've been researching, and feel free to start researching this yourself, is what tax dollars are we paying to come up with all of the fees for animal control? And yes, they are getting some donations now from people, but in majority, these animal control facilities have to run, and they're run by government funds. We're paying taxes, and in the meantime, you could get those taxes dwindling down to nothing if people could just afford to bring animals into their homes, to have them allowed, not discriminated against, and that's the main focus. I think smokers should be able to have separate smoking apartments, separate total buildings just for the people that like to smoke. They are a threat in every way, and again, for smokers, this will support you too. I think you should be able to smoke in apartments but you need to have your own apartment buildings, and that way you can get whatever the heck you want. And people that are non-smokers and people that love animals should be able to have a healthy place to live and be able to bring their furry family, their furry children, and that's exactly what they are. These are our families, these are our children. We should not be forced to live with carpet. There are certain areas like Seattle, California, Portland, there are certain areas, and just any wet climates where you can tend to have fleas, or actually there can be bed bugs, anything. Anyone can have bed bugs, and that terrifies the heck out of me even thinking of that. But anybody staying in hotels can be at risk of that. When you're bringing things back to carpet, it's near impossible to get anything out of the carpet when you have to deal with toxic products. If you have flooring, like some type of tile flooring or cement flooring, which is great for animals, linoleum flooring, non-toxic linoleum flooring, you can get rid of any bugs without destroying your home and your lungs, and by bringing in toxic products. It's the greatest thing for animals. It's the greatest thing for our health. People can have rugs. Rugs are great. Okay, so I've gotten into a little bit extra things, but the main focus here is pet discrimination and the taxes paid for at the shelters. That's the main focus here, because animals are being discriminated against in rental properties, in huge apartment complexes, in all apartment complexes practically. They are discriminating against animals. We can contact insurance companies as well. They should not be discriminating against animals. No animal has ever posed the type of threat that a smoker does. A smoker can bring down a whole apartment complex. They can kill people. They can kill animals just by falling asleep with a cigarette. And there's no animal that's ever come close to causing that type of harm or threat to anyone else. And yet, people that have animals, their little animal families, they are being treated like total criminals. And the smokers are just welcomed wherever they go. So, okay, so that's not totally true, but they are starting to be not allowed, at least in restaurants and hospitals and workplaces, but they're allowed in all the apartments and where animals are not. So animals are providing love and kindness and peace, and generally can encourage friendliness amongst people. So anyway, that's it. Please leave your comments. Please help support. Please leave any comments down on your experiences with your own pet discrimination, and I would love to get as many people as possible telling what your experiences are with pet discrimination. Have you been charged? How much have you been charged with pet rent, with non-refundable pet fees, and or supposedly refundable pet fees? And the experiences that I've had is, even though I've paid pet rent and non-refundable deposits and so-called refundable deposits, if there was ever any damage, which I've never left damage, but if there was ever any damage, they don't take it out of the pet rent. They don't take it out of any of that. They just charge you extra. So it's basically the landlords that are just scamming and stealing from their tenants left and right. So please let me know what your experiences are, anything that you can help to do that, and state where you've lived, what apartment complexes you've lived in, who you've rented from, anything that you can. I would like to get as much information as possible and as much support, and if you can be contacted as well for any discrimination that you've experienced. And if you know of any attorneys that are willing to support this fight, please let me know. Thank you.